Hello driver, your shift starts with some shunting at the west empty yard. The switchers are set. Proceed to the west empty 14 now and yeah, okay. And one of the things I have a tendency to do here, yeah, there we go. Let's get her fixed. Let's go here. I want to get to the control layout. Oops. Yes, you can use a world controller. I don't like the controller. Full on HUD for the time being. So let's read our message. I'm not going to get a very good score on this because I'm not moving around. Okay, a couple empty hoppers to the front of the RS11 at West Empty. Okay, let's see here. Show task. Show center on the player. Alright, so basically what I need to do is back up into these, which I believe is West Empty, but there is no description on the track. West Empty. Alright, well let's go back out and see if there's any clues. One of the nice things about this is I tend to put up this. Oops. Back. And you can put up this checklist and it'll show you where to go. Okay, so a couple of hoppers to the front of your locomotive at West Empty. So I'm going to assume that's West Empty over there. We're going to get ourselves started and get moving. Now on the yard, one of the things you should be aware of is that you need to have your bell on in some cases. There we go, we're on the move. Now, I did feature the RS11 this week on YouTube. It was the first episode for the Engineer's Cab. The Engineer's Cab kind of showed up all of the different RS11 reskins that I've been able to find thus far. So some speed up. This is all the switches have been adapted. It's huge. And the DLC was quite nice. Let's see. Center up on player. Where am I headed to? Show task. Oh wow, it's way down here. West Empty, number 14. That's going to be this one right there. I don't know why the switches weren't aligned. Oh, there I am, speeding. Oh, yeah. West Empty 14 coming up. See what happens when you let it get away from you. There we go. As you can tell, it's been very nicely put together for you too as a standard setup to take a look at this DLC that they've added. You know, this, remember, the RS11 is set up as a heavy road switcher. However, commonly on the East Coast railroads and even some of the Mid-Coast railroads, it was used as a mainline operating engine. So it worked quite well. I just want more breakage. Brakes! Now let's Altoona empty yard, place your train west in advance, and so forth. So as we keep our speed limit going and keep traveling in that direction, notice that the fog actually does tendency to help this game. At least give it a little bit more detail and so forth. And one of the things that I've found enjoyable about this game, however, is more or less to detail the engines. Sometimes it's the niceties of the little things that count. Alright, so I'm coming up on to notch 14. Let's make sure that we're notched into that. Yep. The switch said, they said the switches were set for me, but now it's a guarantee that they're set. Got to keep it in. One of the suggestions I have for you is when you actually go to couple up on one of these trains, make sure you keep your speed limit somewhere around 4 to 5 miles per hour in that range, and that'll guarantee that you won't have a decoupling event or a potential derailing event. Because derailing can be pretty bad. I don't know how they have it set up for this one so far, but I know that, you know, anywhere between 8 and 5, and preferably below 5. So I've seen some engines out there on the road when they've been doing switching, at least when it comes to road switching, where they've come to complete stops. Oh, that's strange. 40 miles an hour in the yard. Oh, that's just bad. That's just saying something. A lot of times if they're moving real fast, what they do is they'll come to a complete stop within like 10 to 15 feet of the other car, and then they'll ease themselves in and just do a roll lock, and that's probably what we'll do here. We're coming up on the with the empties. We're on. It said to couple up to the front of the train. Now in this case, the front of the train is the long side of the hood. As far as I know, from what I understand, is it's because it's a safety mannerism of this engine. So we're going to apply some really hard braking here. Full service. I don't want to hit that thing. As you can tell, the braking on this isn't too well, but that was common for back then. So, okay, full brake, come to a stop, and now I'm going to do what I normally do, which is inch my way in there.
User left your channel. User joined your channel.
So, as we go forth.
User left your channel.
So, let's see here. I'm gonna get those things closer. Come up to a line. Let's see, I'm only moving about a mile or so. Oh, wow, look at that. Noticing that the couplers don't quite match up. See that? They glitch into each other. I wonder if it'll allow me to connect up. Oh, it looks like I'm connected. Alright, so first one. Just empty. What? Empty hoppers. On west empty. Well, it's center up the player. Maybe I just messed this up. Okay, hold on. West empty. Everything was supposedly lined up for me. Alright, well, let's try this again. Line up, push into it. Noticing that the stuff that's in here is not exactly well. Alright. couple up. Oh, there we go. Alright. Good. Now, add these hoppers to the ones on the west empty 10 and drop them all there. Okay, so let's go take a look at the map. West empty 10. We may be coming back here to do this again. West empty 10. Okay, so I'll take it back out. Give us full reverse. Flip the light around. Accelerate. Inside the cab. The cab is pretty nice. Again, as I described in my video, it's actually kind of tight in here. You can go outside, go back to that view. Wow, it's down number 2 here. So, now we're traveling in the opposite direction. Supposedly we can go up to 40 miles an hour. But as you can see down there, there's a speed limit sign coming up there, 15. Enjoying it. And going to get down to the end there and make sure that we're not moving over 15 miles per hour. Well, hopefully, the brakes will apply themselves properly as we get down there. Let's take some ground views to it. It's always nice to appreciate some of the modeling that's going on. Now we need to move it over into the west empty 10. So when we get down here, we'll go to the switch view and figure out which one's the west empty 10, do the switching from the map. And we'll see how things go from there. You don't want to be moving too fast in the car. You want to make sure that you're staying in at least decent speed limits because you're going to be doing a lot of shunting. Let's just apply some running brakes. Get out on the other end of the train. Wait till we're clear of the switch. At least let's slow it down right here. Make sure we get clear, but not too far. Apply some more brakes. Now these older brakes have a tendency of taking a while to engage, plus also having real effectiveness to them. Alright, now there's two potential abilities. We can have the switch change that way, which we'll do for this perception. And then the second one will be in the map. Use the map to get to the 10 west. So we know that this is the 10 west right here. Hopefully my eyes don't get blurred out from it. So let's see here. 14, 13. So this is 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10. I'm going to set that one, set that switch, and we're ready to go in. If I got this all wrong when we get in there, we'll find out very quickly. Get a little bit of power going before I leave. Watch the speed indicators. And what we've been told to do is couple up the cars to west empty 10. I'll be bouncing back and forth between the map just to make sure I'm in the right one. I'll probably make some mistakes at some point. I may have made a mistake. Am I going too far? I may have. As I'll stop here just to make double certain. 13, 12, 11, 10. Yep, I did. So we'll do this one right there. Set the launch switch. Hello and welcome everybody, by the way. It's good to see you all. And welcome to this wonderful evening. Running a scenario base. Basically switching engines, as you can see here. We're briefing in the Altoona ship here. Kind of basing it on the Alco. 13, 12, 11, 10, yeah. Sometimes I don't quite self-doubt myself when it comes to certain things. Until a car clears. Alrighty. Boom. Now we're set for the 10. Yeah, you could just do this. Reverse. It's kind of what you can do in real life, where you can actually switch direction and use your engines as brakes. And there we go. Now it's got a nice 10. Excellent. Not going to get a very good grade on this one, however. Keep it a little bit slower. Let's go back to the map and see where the cars are on this one. Show task. Oh yeah, right down there. So once we get down there, I'll just need to be able to slow up when I get into the area. Now, technically, I should be able to see down here on the lower screen the cars as I approach them. I don't know if I need to couple to the other ones or if I need to leave them together, because it's just sometimes not 100% put together. So. Get some throttle going. These get us up a little bit faster. So what I'll end up doing is taking these cars down and coupling them with the other. Just to be on the safe side of this. Now I hope you understand, but probably in a little bit I may have to turn on the air conditioning, as it's been quite warm here in LA today. It's quite surprising. It was near the 90s. I actually had to run the air conditioning in the office quite a bit. And the air conditioning unit that I have is a window-based unit, so it's fairly loud, although I've been told that it's not too overcoming. Let's see if we can see if this is successful, good enough. I'm gonna swap it in reverse. If that's the case, let the cars go. Oh, it doesn't all work that way. Let's exactly the mission. No, it doesn't. It looks like I have to couple them with the others. Oh, right. So just get up to a little bit of speed. If I can just shunt them, push them up there. Oh, it doesn't want me to do that either. Alright. There we go. Get some speed going. I remember watching back in the day in Allentown, as I was a kid. You could actually get up to speed and you would just decouple, let them slide and slam into the other ones. So doesn't seem like it allows that here. We're gonna get down to the magic number of 8 miles an hour to 5 miles an hour before we hit the other cars. Still says west 10. There we go. Let's see what we're coming up on them. Again, I'm not moving at efficiency speeds because I'm still trying to learn this. I may try it again, get a better grade at it later. More or less, this is for the fun of it. Showing what you could potentially see in these missions. This is particularly just for the RS11. Come on. Don't hit too hard. Slam. Pink. Alright. Now connect them all together. And from what I'm told, deconnect that. There we go. Okay, so we definitely do have to connect them together. Now add the hoppers from west empty 11 to the constant. Okay, so it looks like we're building this small little train. Over there, but let's constant. Let's pick it up a little bit. That's the next track over. So we'll get there. Looks like that's what this meant for us. Not the greatest horn, but it does its job. Some real braking here. We're getting a switch. Getting too hasty. And that should be enough. Switch over forward. I need to pop the switch. My motors. Use my braking. Oh, there it is, the alcohol barfing as the smoke billows from its exhaust ports. Alcos were known for belching up tons of soot back in the day. That was like the signature thing. RS3 was most common for it, which was at the time one of the most common and most, oh, I missed it. Wrong one. Thought the switch was set. Can you tell I don't do a lot of switching? Most of the time I go out on the road and generally don't get out in the switching too much, so I guess I missed that one. Could have pre-checked it, but I was confident that I had it.
User joined your channel.
So how is everybody tonight? Looks like I got a user. Hello, you say. I can't even hear you, sir. We're gonna push it back in here a little bit. Figure out why. Oh, Lordy. Get down there. We're gonna grab all these cars. Should be all the, as it says, couple of the hoppers in the front of the RS11 on West Empty. We'll get a little bit of speed. I don't want to get too fast because of my braking. Like I said a little bit earlier, the RS11 is not one of the best braking engines out there. It relies more on the train than it does on the brakes on the engine. Although it does have a tendency of having to use a lot of braking when you're trying to stop your train. It is modeled around the older systems. Now, one of the cool things about RS11, it was around for a long period of time. I'm going to use some reverse thrust here. So I don't wear out the brake shoes. I'm always cognizant of that. And the Lehigh Valley had a ton of these. The Pennsylvania Railroad had a ton. A ton being about 15 or 20. They really did enjoy them. Although I was surprised to find out from my little bit of research that there was only 425 of them made. And that out of the 425 made in comparison to there we go. Slam. I'll take these back to the other. I was surprised that the GP9 had 4,000, so it was barely a percentage in variation in the competition. Although the RS11 was more efficient than the GP9 and GP7 when it comes to fuel consumption and even reliability for that matter. Get her up to around 15 miles per hour. Once we get down towards the switch, I will slow her down, obviously. But the RS11 had a unique look to it, and even the Alco designs, even in the later years, had a nice unique
You doing
look.
shanty operations?
What was that? You say?
You doing shanty operations?
Yeah, shunting operations. So, guys, feel free to ask any questions.
I was like listening to you talk about it. I didn't want to like interrupt you because it's like of the delay and such.
Ah, gotcha. So you're one of the watchers. Well, you can always type. I don't know all the rules and laws of the yard so far, but you know, I try to at least follow speed limits. Now, one of the disappointing things in this game that I found I didn't quite like so much was the fact that it doesn't account so much for the safe operation, which is primarily what was most important for yard operations. And it requires more on a time basis. So in that aspect, it is not so much of a realistic simulation view of, how do we say, when it comes to operating safely. Like, I've been moving fairly slowly. I haven't been going to the maximum speed limits, like at 40, because yard operations usually travel anywhere between 5 and 15 miles per hour in certain places. Let's get some more reverser going. All right, I can make the switch change. There we go. Okay, now I can put more reverser in. Notice down here too, this is your target. If that moves anywhere, it's kind of like a fulcrum on a forklift. If it moves into the yellow or red, you're going to end up in a derailment situation. So, go back to front of this. But it's really more based on time and how quickly you can perform an operation in this game rather than how safely you operate. And that may be just because of the limitations based on the game, the inability to measure safety and so forth. I find it kind of be disappointing, but in this case we're doing a standard scenario, so therefore it's only really just a check mark, the fact that you completed this. When it comes to doing career-oriented, that's when you get more graded, where if you're speeding, you'll have minus the points and so forth. Now, my father used to talk about the Altoona yards a lot. From what I understand, him and his father my grandfather would come down here quite often and watch trains, since they're fairly close to Altoona where they live. I've never seen the Altoona yards myself. Although I would love to at some point. From what I understand, they're the largest engineering yards, or engineering, what do you call it, maintenance facilities on the East Coast. And even most other railroads send their engines there, like going to Santa Fe or Union Pacific if they really need someone to come to it. They've opened up their shops to it. Okay, we're going to let this sing. And watch the target over here. Boom. Oh, it didn't do it. Oh, you can see it move it just a hair bit. Okay, we have to get these hoppers to the West Advance Yard now. You'll have to set the switches at the West Advance Yard manually. Okay, well that means I can't call it. Now let's make sure that we're connected. Okay. West Advanced Yard. Let's make sure we're in the right direction. Okay, so we're going back that way. We're going reverse with the engine. Tasty Toaster says zoom out. It must be still too loud. Let me turn that down a little bit. My way. I apologize for that. Sometimes I don't notice the sound, in-game sound. I try to adjust it before I get in, but it doesn't always happen. Then let me adjust it down. Is that better for you? And just give this some shunting and we go up to 15 miles an hour. And cut the throttle. So, keep the speed up a little bit. Damn, looks like this one's kind of heavy regardless. Now, the RS11 did have around 1,800 horsepower, and it wasn't really reliable. Alco did build an awesomely reliable system as far as I was concerned. They were very... They just happened to be forced out of being able to compete with EMD and GE these days. It's quite disappointing because they had a style of their own, that was for sure. So our target is over there on the advanced yard. So we're going to have to line hopper. So we're going to advance 7 up speed. Let's see if I can skip ahead. Show advance 7. Advance 7. Okay, so first in yellow. Looks like last advance 7. Looks like that switch, and we should be right into it. Alright. Now let's just enjoying the ride until we get to West Advance 7. Now some of these structures I think are still there. A lot of them are dismantled. I know that they dismantled most of the yard, so you only have primarily the shops nowadays. Don't want to get too fast. Too fast is dangerous. Plus, heck, you might laugh at me if I ever derail, and I don't want to particularly do this over again. But the Altoona shops definitely were a key component for the Pennsylvania Railroad. Especially during World War II. They would hold a lot of supplies here, tanks, equipment, that was just coming over the horseshoe curve, coming east to go out to the ships. So this is one of the storage lines. Now, over the years after the Pennsylvania Railroad merged with the Penn Central, the yards started to lose their integrity. The maintenance on it was let go. There's some videos I've seen where the ties are all warped and coming up out of the ground, out of the ballast, and you had short sections of rail. Nowadays, there's quite a bit of difference because I mean you can get sections of rail which are up to 4 to 5 miles long, or where you continue to weld them seamlessly all the way down and use the cement ties to keep it in the ballast. What they'll do is they'll take a section of rail that's on a car, and as they're laying it down, and it's usually by machine nowadays, they'll weld it up as it reaches that point, so it's considered to be seamless. If they have to go in and make an adjustment, they'll just cut it and put new line in. There's a interesting video online that I saw at YouTube that was where they do magnesium welding. Don't quite understand the concept of it, but it was definitely different. It's almost like they put a funnel over top of the rail, and they poured magnesium into it, and it just lit up like a crazy ass grenade. You should look that up. I mean, it is very interesting. I never looked up the explanation of how it works, so. But definitely the efficiency of railroading today is much better than what it used to be. I remember still back when I was a kid, there were still sections of rail that were only maybe a couple 100 feet long, and they would be bolted together. I know back in the day when Pennsylvania Railroad was running, the sections were only like 15
What's up,
feet
guys?
long. Hello, Yamato.
You streaming too?
I am streaming.
Me and Joss are testing out the stream for me.
Sounds like the mic. You got the mic working.
No, it's my headset.
Oh, it's your headset?
Yeah, this is just my headset. But yeah, me and Joss are just testing shit out, so I'm currently streaming.
Excellent. Toasty, yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
There you go. Exeter, were you streaming ships or
Trains.
Ah. You said you want to watch me play my Yamato?
Sure, I'm down. I hope you test.
Yeah. Yamato is coming streaming here pretty soon, and I'll be putting a link down below for him.
Oh, Exeter sponsoring me. Oh, so special.
Dude, you've been helping me out, so of course I'm going to put you down.
Oh yeah, no, I get you.
No, absolutely, Toasty.
Streaming, right? Probably want to get.
So.
Exeter, when you gonna be doing like some big power
No,
streams?
The camera. No, the camera. I'm thinking about moving.
It may probably be doing some of the streaming and so forth with the bigger power just probably right after this. I wanted to start out with the Alco and go through the missions. We'll go look at the secondary missions for the RS3 because there's only 3, or excuse me, RS11. There's only 3 standard missions for the RS11, and I don't think there's any others because I don't believe it's in the career mode.
I mean, the RS11 is awesome and everything, but as you know, I want to see some of those bigger ones.
Oh, is it actually doing too?
Ah, okay. Well, it really depends up to the viewers. I know you're one of them.
Bro, what about that SD40-2 high nose, man?
Oh yeah.
Where are those at?
I don't know. The Shimakaze is pretty scary though.
So, let me come to a stop here. Let me.
What was that?
Yamato.
Ooh, oh, okay. Windows 10, you Windows 10 fucker.
You know that's all going across the stream, right, Yamato?
Oh yeah, it is. Oh, I always keep it that huge. There it is. There it is. Boy, there you go.
If anything, I can just stop the mic.
Yeah, whatever. That's fine.
Alright, we're gonna make him really quiet for the moment. So hopefully at this point this will actually complete out the stream, or the stream, the mission. Head's kind of split in 2 different places.
Ooh, Mogami.
Maybe I will have to start locking my room when I start streaming. Alright, so hopefully right here will be the end of this.
No, so let's move to a different channel so we don't interrupt Exeter stream.
So it says West 7. Am I there? Or West 7. Yeah, I'm in the right
User
one.
left your
There
channel.
we go. There we go. Remind me to
User was moved out of your channel.
good work. This train has been taking the Bethlehem Steel later. Yeah. Believe it or not, my father and my grandfather both worked for Bethlehem Steel. My grandfather worked for Bethlehem Steel for 20 years. My father worked for Bethlehem Steel for 5 years before he moved over to Kraft Foods because Bethlehem Steel was starting to lose in production value. So let's see here. Okay, the RS11. So now we're finished.